Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar, Understanding EPDs, Making EPD Creation Feasible, Scalable, and Automated. This show is produced by OneClick LCA, which is a leading LCA software that helps the construction and manufacturing industry to decarbonize. My name is Melina. I'm a Sustainability Communication Specialist here at OneClick LCA. And today, for this session, I am joined by our two EPD experts, Artur Jalsins, who is Product Manager here at OneClick LCA, and Graham Devlin, who is an EPD Customer Success Manager. Before we begin, I would like to go quickly over what to expect from today's session. We'll talk about what is an EPD, its relevance, benefits, and compliance issues. Then we will introduce you to our EPD Generator tool, and we'll talk about its features, functionalities, updates. And then we will show you how you can get your EPDs published and specified with the help of the EPD Generator. At the end, a quick Q&A will follow. So I would like you to put all your questions in our chat or the Q&A chat in Livestorm, so we can get to them by the end of the session, where you can ask our experts whatever you want regarding EPDs or how the EPD Generator can help you. So let's jump into it. I'm going to pass this over to Artur, and he can explain to you more about EPDs.
Thanks, Melina, and welcome everyone to the webinar. So I'm going to go now over the basics. So what an environmental product declaration is, or an EPD for short. So an EPD is a standardized document that provides transparent, verified, and comparable information on your product's life cycle emissions. This can be over product, material, or service. An EPD typically covers all the life cycle stages of a product, but this can vary between different standards and different product category rules. Typically, an EPD contains the data on the product's environmental emissions, resource use, waste generation, as well as output flows. So basically, in short, an EPD is a reliable way to communicate your product's environmental performance to your customers and the marketplace in general. Next. Now a bit maybe about why you should produce EPDs and measure your product's carbon footprint. To understand this better, we can look at the scale of the problem that we are facing. Currently, 57% of the global carbon emissions come from construction and manufacturing. We can see here the breakdown from construction processes and transportation. It's about 1 gigatons of CO2. Then plastics and other manufacturing, 2 gigatons. Cement 4, metal manufacturing 5, and then finally the energy use in buildings account for the largest part, which is 9 gigatons of CO2 per year. So this is just to understand better the scale of the problem that we're facing, and EPDs being a part of the solution to our emissions problem. So what are the benefits of EPDs? As the marketplace becomes more aware of the problem that we are facing, as well as the demand by regulatory bodies increases, EPDs are basically a way to benchmark how your product is performing against your competition. So see how your product stacks up against other products on the market. It also allows you to identify hotspots. For example, if a particular raw material causes most of the emissions or a process in your manufacturing process, that's the one that you should address first. So it lets you identify how to improve your products. In addition, as I mentioned, your customers as well have more and more stringent carbon requirements. So to fulfill their requirements, they'll also demand that your products have lower emissions. In some markets, actually, this becomes sort of license to operate. So you actually need to have an EPD to participate in certain tendering processes, or at least it's one of the criteria in the tendering processes. And also, we see more and more markets where there's actually limit values for the environmental impact for buildings, and therefore also the products that go into those buildings need to have low emissions. In short, maybe to summarize it, EPDs will allow you to differentiate your product, provide transparency, and fulfill regulatory and tendering requirements. If you do have an EPD, this will allow you to be discovered by specifiers on one-click LCA. So your product will be available for all users that are creating building LCA. Therefore, they can discover and see the performance of your products. You're able to promote EPDs on your own website, social media, and you can basically use it as one of the sort of branding assets that you have in your toolbox.
Thank you, Arturs. That was very insightful. I will now pass it over to Graham, and he can tell us a bit more about global compliance issues and EPD requirements all across the globe.
Great, thanks, Melina. You can already go to the next slide. Yeah, so basically EPD requirements, they differ from country to country, and that in itself can be challenging to keep up with. Here on the map, we can see some of the major operators in Europe, like INES in France, EBU in Germany. In North America, program operators like UL Environment, NSF as well. And we also have the main one down under being EPD Australasia. And there are probably somewhere in the region of about 50 different program operators around the world. Choosing one program operator may indeed be a requirement for your particular country or region, or otherwise it's just a local preference. In the next slide, we'll try to summarize some of those main markets requirements. So in this table, basically, we can take a look at some of these selected countries and regions. And when it comes to standards, all European markets and many other markets around the world, they accept EPDs created with the EN 15804 plus A2 standard, which we see in the first three rows here for the UK, the EU, and in Norway as well as other Nordic countries. Then we'll get into a little bit more specific. So for example, in Belgium, for sustainability marketing claims, EPDs, they need to be published with the BEPD program following their national extension. In France, for use in regulatory LCA models and limits, EPDs need to be published in an improved national program. And currently those programs are INES and PEP Eco Passport for MEP products. Additionally, the EPDs must be in the French language for the INES program as well. Moving on to Germany then, for federal project LCA studies using the BMB certification, you must use the OCOBAU database, and that also has a preference for using data calculated with Gabi. And EBU is the most common choice for EPD publishing. In the Netherlands, again, when it comes to use in regulatory LCA and associated national low carbon incentives, EPDs need to be published with their national database, so in NMD. And this requires using EcoInvent database and also calculating specific characterization factor for what's called the shadow price, or MKI in Dutch, and some other LCA data is also required there. Australia, New Zealand, mentioned before that there's this preference to publish with the local program operator, EPD Australasia, but it's not mandatory, and they also follow the EN 15804 standard. When it comes to the US and Canada as well, generally they're pursuing the ISO 21930 standard for domestic EPDs, but using the Tracy 2.1 characterizations. So that's expected for those EPDs. There's also state level Buy Clean regulations like Buy Clean California and the Inflation Reduction Act. And they also apply rules for specific product categories, which vary case by case. And then for the rest of the world, other regions generally are accepting EN 15804, some ISO 21930 as well, for their third-party verified EPDs. We can go to the next slide. Thank you. So key regulations then. Here we're looking at the EU. I think this is also relevant for other markets. Maybe you're not in the EU, but you're shipping products to the EU, or indeed the fact that other regions may follow the EU's sort of lead on this kind of thing as well. So highlighting a few things that are worthwhile and I think interesting to be aware of, starting with CBAM, so the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. So this is a policy that essentially imposes a carbon tariff or a price on carbon intensive products that are imported into the EU. The Eco Design for Sustainable Products is a new regulation that aims to improve the circularity, the energy performance, and some other environmental sustainability aspects of EU products. The Construction Products Regulation, or CPR, are a set of harmonized rules for the marketing of construction products in the EU. And then we also have levels, which has been around for a while now, which is the approach in Europe to assess and report the sustainability performance of buildings throughout their life cycle. And focusing in maybe on CBAM, it's one of the hottest topics, I would say, at the moment in this sort of space. What it's focusing on, at least initially, is the imports of goods in certain categories. So looking at cement, iron and steel, aluminium, and then some others outside construction, fertilizers, electricity, hydrogen. But those main construction materials, when Arthur's described earlier on how many gigatons of CO2 the industry is responsible for, cement, iron and steel, and aluminium are in the top three. So makes sense to focus on those. So that's where we're going to see the need for this kind of a data. So from the 1st of October of last year it was, then the liability to prepare and lodge the quarterly reports for CBAM, which were due on the 31st of January. And then from the 1st of January 2026, then it's required to lodge these annual reports and have these CBAM certificates for the emissions associated with these CBAM goods. So it's incredibly important to be in line with these things, and the data behind EPDs is going to help you get there as well. We can go to the next slide. When it comes to things we've already looked at, like standards, program operators, regulations, and so on, they pose their own challenges. Otherwise, EPD creation has some other let's say what previously could be described as barriers to EPD creation, what were preventing us from making EPDs in the past. That it's a long and complex creation process. So you got to gather the data and then do the LCA modeling with the different environmental factors and so on. Then there's the cost of creating EPDs. So not everybody has the access to the kind of finances that are required to be able to create EPDs in the sort of traditional way. And then the third-party verification also adds some complexity and cost to this. So what we're attempting to do at One-Click LCA, and we've been able to do so far with our pre-verified EPD generators and the work that we're doing with the program operators that we work closely with, is to be able to reduce this complexity, bring down the costs, and speed up the third-party verification. Next slide, please. So here's some of the feeling in the market, let's say, about what's limiting the progress. What do people actually think is preventing us from getting there? So in the darker green on the left-hand side of the bar, this is not a limiting factor. Then in the black in the middle, it's somewhat limiting. And then on the right-hand side, it's significantly limiting. So the top one that we can see is significantly limiting is that complexity and cost of getting the EPDs third-party verified. So this means that you, once you've created the LCA, you then need to go to the program operator, find a verifier, engage them to actually go through your LCA, make sure it's in line with the methodologies and the standards, the PCR, the program operator, and so on. So this is one of the top reasons that people believe we're being limited in progressing with creating EPDs. Next up, complexity, again, also related to the cost of at least gathering the data and getting it into an LCA model. So we can see that complexity, cost, the top three of those sort of responses related to what's limiting the progress. Lack of training is also one, and qualified staff to create EPDs. We're trying to address that need by introducing our One-Click LCA Academy to offer training and webinars like this to educate people on it, so that you can make progress. And then when it comes to the differences between PCRs, it's true that we don't have harmonized PCR across all different products and product categories. So if you're working with multiple different products, then indeed this can be one of the challenges. And differences between EPD program operators, yes, they sometimes have their own requirements, which means that if you wanted to, let's say you wanted to publish in France and you also wanted to publish in the Netherlands, but you are actually located here in Finland, where I am, then maybe you need to understand what the differences is between those local program operators if you were to publish in multiple. So there are a number of challenges there, which of course our solution is set up to address and help you with. If we go to the next slide, we can look at some of the product categories that basically the market is crying out for EPDs for. These are where we need them most, perhaps. So 39% of respondents want them for all products. We just need them for everything. And yeah, I get that. That's understandable. The more data we have, the absolutely better place we're going to be in going forward. So yes, let's get EPDs for all of them. But if we break it down a little bit into some of the product categories, so MEP, so mechanical, electrical, plumbing products, we know that they're a high contributor to emissions at building level, in new builds and in retrofits. They can be, quite a large percentage, even half of the embodied carbon of the retrofit. So very important that we understand exactly where the emissions come from for MEP products, and we can address them when we, specify those products. Concrete, coming up again, so no surprises there. Interestingly, wood is quite high up on the list, and this is perhaps due to the fact that it is a biogenic material, so it's actually got negative carbon, at least up front. So there's a lot of focus on using wood these days. And then we get into windows, doors, and partitionings, other metals. Then we're going to cements and binders, and we start to get down a little bit lower and lower and lower. What's really interesting about the responses here and the results is they align quite a lot actually with what we see from CBAM, for example, Buy Clean Acts, and they're targeting these kinds of top products like concrete, cement, glass and steel. So yeah, really interesting results from that.
Thank you, Graham. That was really insightful. These charts that you see are part of a report that OneClick LCA produced. It's the Construction LCA and Embodied Carbon Experts Outlook for 2024, and we surveyed a large amount of respondents, and this is how we get this very insightful graphs here. Moving on, I'm gonna now introduce you a little bit to OneClick LCA in case you don't know who the company is and what it is that we do. OneClick LCA is a leading LCA and EPD software for the construction and manufacturing sector. With a 20-year track record in the industry, we help you to achieve your goals and to decarbonize the world's construction value chain. With it, you can comply with more than 80 national regulations and standards, while you get access to the world's largest construction LCA database. The software also supports more than 20 BIM and other integrations. And for what we're all here today also to talk about EPDs, we have a tool that is called EPD Generator, and it is a tool that helps manufacturers to streamline the EPD process and create and publish EPDs, and it gives them full verification control. And I will now pass it over to Graham, and he will showcase how you can create and publish an EPD using our tool. Over to you, Graham.
Okay, thank you. So I'll just share the screen. So hopefully you can see the screen. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit because I've got the screen zoomed out quite a lot. So I'm going to start by creating a project. I know there are some of you in the webinar that are already OneClick LCA users, so you should be familiar with this part of the step. And for those of you that aren't, I'm going to very quickly, just in a few minutes, try to demonstrate how the tool works and how quickly you can create an LCA model. So starting with creating a project. So I've got it in my demo license. I've just called it EPD webinar demo. I'll just use it in the main page folder. I'm going to look at the ready mix concrete product, and I'm located in Finland, so I'll leave it like so. I don't need to put an image there for now, so I'm going to skip that step. And now I've created my project. Next thing where this hand is pointing me in the right direction is to get started by creating a design. I'm going to use our regular tool, EPD Hub version 2 tool. And then here I'll just give it let's call it ready mix concrete. Let's use design 1 while it's there. So that's great. And I'll set the scope of my project to include A4 and A5. So the transportation and installation phases as well. Click OK. And now my design is created. I don't want to start from scratch because we don't have time for that today. So I'm going to actually copy data from another design I've already created before. So I click here and it gives me all the different, I've got lots of different designs to choose from. And I'm just going to type in ready mix concrete and choose this one here and copy all of the data. So I've already did this LCA previously, so I can sort of utilize the data that I've already got in the system to create a new EPD. And the artist will talk a little bit later on about different templates that we have. So now that I've done that, I can see here most of my what we call queries in the software have this little green check to say that yes, you've got everything that you need. It looks like there's one thing that I need to fix in my declared unit, so I'll go straight there and do that. So in declared unit, it's asking me what my corresponding unit is. I haven't filled that in. So the software is sort of pointing me in the right direction as to what have I missed, what do I need to fill in to complete this LCA. So I've done that now, and mandatory data, once I save it, I click here, it should go away. And then I'll have a sort of complete LCA and I'll be able to review the results. Before I go to review the results, though, I will check and go through a little bit of what we see inside the bill of materials as an example. So in this bill of materials, I have my aggregates, coarse aggregates, fine aggregates. I've got my cement, tap water, some GGBS, and some admixture as well. So this is my recipe for my product. If I wanted to change something up or add an additional material, maybe change these quantities, let's say I had, you know, more or less of one aggregate or another. Maybe I didn't have any admixture here in this particular product. Maybe I didn't have any GGBS, for example. Then I can quickly and easily change the quantities here, or I can introduce different kinds of materials. So let's say in this example, I've got cement production, Portland cement, and maybe I want to search for an alternative cement. So then in here in the software, I can search for cement. If I wanted to limit my search results, I can use the filters at the top of the page, or here I can choose from different set of categorization for the different data that's available to me. I'm not looking for one in particular, so let's just see what I find. So let's say, for example, I have cement production Portland with this CEM1, and maybe I have one of these other types of cement in this product. I can click on the little green question mark, pull up the data card, read a little bit more about it. So find out what type of cement. This is a CEM2B. Maybe that's the one that I want. If it is, I can just simply click add to input. I can also review the environmental profile, what is its GWP, and all of the other impact indicators as well. So let's pretend I wanted to do that. I'll add this one to the input. And for argument's sake, I'm just going to take the total quantity of Portland cement out and put it in here for my different cement type, and then click save. The software is now going to recalculate my results based on that small change that I made, or what appears to be a small change, and it will also tell me what sort of impact that's had on my overall result. So I've saved 64 kilos of CO2 or reduced my footprint by almost 19% by switching just the cement type. So that's how quick and easy it is to make these kinds of adjustments and reuse the work that you've already done. I won't go through all of the different queries and so on, but as you can see here, we can go to A3 manufacturing, where we put our energy data, construction A4, A5 scenarios, the use phase scenario, if, for example, you wanted to cover carbonation of concrete, end of life, what happens to this product when it reaches its end of life. And then I can fill in all the details related to the EPD description to be able to generate a ready-made EPD that I can submit directly for publishing. So very quick snapshot in what you can do in the tool. I hope it didn't move too fast, but if you have any questions about what I showed or would like to see anything more, please feel free to drop it into the Q&A.
Thank you, Graham. That was really interesting. This tool offers a lot of possibilities, so if you would like to know more about it, you can definitely contact our experts and learn more about EPD Generator and how it can help you with your company. I'm just gonna now resume our presentation and to move a little bit further. This is what I wanted to discuss, and this is what I was talking about before. If you believe that one-click LCA and the EPD Generator is the right tool for you and it's the right solution for your needs, our EPD experts would love to provide a tailored demo to show you how the software can work for you and for your company. So if you're watching today's event from Livestorm, you will very soon see a live poll asking you if you would like a one-click LCA business team member to contact you to book a custom demo and get advice about the EPD Generator. I would like to highlight here that our EPD business development team is a team of experts with engineering and scientific background. What does that mean? Is that they do have the technical know-how and experience to help you with your needs and answer any questions you may have, no matter how technical they are. Everything about EPDs it is that they know. So if you're dialing live from Livestorm, you will see the poll, and if you want our EPD experts to contact you about getting started with the EPD Generator for your company, I would like you to click yes now, and we will also provide a link in the comments for you. Thank you very much. Now I will pass this over to Arturs, and he will talk a little bit more about EPD software, new updates, and new features. Over to you, Arturs.
All right. Yeah. So I'll go over the updates that we have done over the period of last 6 to 8 months. Let's jump into the next slide. So the demo that Graham gave you, that was showcasing our EPD Hub tool. And in addition to that, we have also produced some new tools, namely one for the Netherlands. Netherlands has a particular requirement, which requires additional impact categories, as Graham also mentioned during his slides. In addition, it also requires the use of EcoInvent 3.6 database version, and it has requirements for specific background report and EPD layout. So we have a new tool that supports this. Once you generate the EPD, then you have to find the valid verifier from the NMD database, and then they can take care of actually including the EPD in NMD database. In addition to that, we have also a new tool for the French market. Similarly, there are some supplementary impact categories required for INES. In addition, the calculation has to be done both per declared unit and per functional unit. So in the results of those tools, you actually see two separate tables, one per declared unit and one per functional unit, if those differ. And then also the EPD itself has to be in French language, while then the background report can be also in English. And to make it easier for you to submit data to PEP and INES, we actually format the data in the exact kind of format that is required. So it means that you can easily transfer the data to those databases. Yeah, next slide. Finally, then another new tool for the international EPD system. So this is a tool that is compliant with the new PCR 1.3.2. This was third-party verified. It has the additional impact category for GWP GHG, which is basically excluding parts of the standard ones. And then the tool is more aligned with our other tools, and it also produces compliant EPD and background report. Okay, next slide. Then some exciting news for some specific product categories. So we have worked together with EPD Hub in creating end-to-end verified EPD generators for both luminaires and concrete EPD. So for luminaires, this is basically a completely new tool, specifically tailor-made for light fixtures. It has the relevant generic data as well as industry EPD data. They are ready to use EPD templates for luminaires, and you can publish with EPD Hub in a single click, basically. The first 3 EPDs have to go through manual verification, but after that, the process is fully automated. And then for our concrete EPD generator, we have also done some simplifications and updates. Namely, we have moved the production losses as a single input that applies to all raw materials because, well, ready-mix concrete, I think that's the only way to actually do the calculation. That means that there's no need to model the waste generation separately, and the end-of-life scenarios can be selected from a single drop-down that then apply again to all raw materials. So these are really cost-efficient, easy, and fast ways to produce EPDs for luminaires and concrete ready-mix products. Yeah, next slide. Then we spent quite a lot of time on updating our manufacturing site. This feature allows you to define the inputs and outputs from your manufacturing site, as well as the descriptive information once, and then you can import it to every product that you assess the LCA and generate EPD for. The biggest changes that we have done is that now it allows you to input any data directly. So it's not limited to constructions, but any EcoInvent, LCI, or EPD data can be selected, and you can input the quantities directly in the manufacturing site. Then once you import it to your specific product, we will automatically allocate those quantities based on the volumes produced in the manufacturing site and the mass of the product in question. Yeah, next one. Then regarding the updates to our database, we have included LCA Commons data. This is from North America. It includes data for manufacturing, energy transport, waste management, construction, as well as mining, agriculture, forestry, and fishing. These are 1,000 LCA data sets that are available for all the EPD tools in OneClick LCA. In addition, we have also updated the Plastics Europe data sets. So these are mostly chemicals and plastics related data points. Total there's 70, and 23 are completely new in this update. Okay, next slide. Shortly about some other updates. We have added an ability for you to create custom EPD templates that match your brand identity. So this basically allows you to take one of our EPD templates, customize it, change the colors, change the layout, pretty much whatever you want to, and make that as your standard template that's then going to be used by all the products. So it basically removes the need to do any edits after the generation of the EPD. Then we have added an ability to save the LCA results as a private data point in your organization. So once you're done with the calculation, you can save the results as one single data point and then reuse it, for example, in other LCA calculations. In addition, then we have added EPDs in German, Japanese, and French languages. So these are standard EPD templates available in EPD Hub tool. You can export data directly from OpenLCA to OneClick LCA. So this is an integration that basically, if you have started your LCA calculation in OpenLCA, but then you need to generate the EPD, then you can export that data and you don't have to manually then add all the data by yourself. It's a single export and import to OneClick LCA. Then something worth mentioning regarding the platform in general. So OneClick LCA is now SOC 2 and ISO 27001 certified and compliant. So we basically fulfill all the security needs for our large customers. And finally, we have updated our EPD templates for 20 plus product categories. So more or less whatever products you are manufacturing, there are templates ready to be used. And if not, then our EPD experts can create ones based on your specific needs. Yeah, I think that's it for the updates. It was a quick rundown. Right, this is actually quite interesting. So as mentioned, we have both the generic data and industry-specific EPDs. So that's one of the differentiating factors for OneClick LCA, that we have been including EPDs for the last 10 years, basically. And this is just a number for year to date for 2024. And we can see that we have added almost 50,000 new data points to our database. So basically, either if you want to use generic data, you can use generic data. If you have a supplier that has an EPD, you can trust that that EPD will be in our database very shortly after publishing.
Thank you, Arturs. I think that was all. And that was very insightful and very useful to see, and very useful to new as well as existing customers and clients, because you get to see what the tool does from scratch, but also that our team keeps updating and improving, growing our database, which is the most important thing when we talk about EPDs. To wrap up the session, I want to make a mention about something that Graham said before, which is when we saw what are some of the factors that limit the progress in the EPD sector, it is the lack of training. So that's why One-Click LCA has Academy, which organizes trainings and boot camps that people can join. And our goal is to train 1 million professionals by 2030, and to provide them with free training in low carbon and sustainability best practices. And we have an EPD bootcamp that starts in June 2024. And in the next slide, you will see a QR code, and you can scan it with your phone and attend the course. Also, at One-Click LCA, we have an exclusive community forum that allows all professionals in the LCA community to discuss best practices, exchange exchange ideas, ask questions to our EPD experts, but also to each other. This is very useful, and you will see a link to our community also in the comments. We will now, I will now show you our slide. Here you can slide the QR code and go to our Academy training website, and our upcoming webinar has to do with EPDs. So I recommend, if you want to know more and go more in depth about environmental product declarations, to join our bootcamp. We will now go to a live Q&A. Before that, here's also another QR code that you can scan if you want to get in touch with our One-Click LCA experts. And here also, I want to say that I see that we don't have a lot of time, so our Q&A will be a little, will not have a lot of questions. I see some of the questions here, and I'm gonna actually pass it over to our experts, and whoever feels like they can take it, you can let me know. The first question that I see coming in is, what database are available in the EPD Generator tool?
Yeah, maybe I can answer that, since I already touched upon it before. So the main database with the generic data is EcoInvent. Then in addition, there's Plastics Europe, the LCA Commons database, and then we have EPDs from all over the world. So basically any EPD program that has construction materials, we include that data in our database. The only limiting factor here is that whether it follows the plus A2 standard or plus A1 standard. So not all EPDs are available in all tools, but in general, they all are in our database.
Thank you, Arturs. The next question I see is, what if there isn't a template for my product or product category?
Maybe I'll take the next one. So if you don't have, let's say we don't have a template available, or we don't have the product category even, then we can help create one for you. So we have a list of the different product categories and the different templates we have in those available in our help center. And if your product isn't there, then of course reach out to us and let us know what it is that you're sort of working with in terms of product portfolio, and we can suggest creating a template for you or creating a category for you. So it's certainly recommended thing to do if maybe you're new to creating EPDs or you're working with a complex product category, that having a template to get you started off on the right foot would be highly recommended. And even if we have maybe a similar template, we can adapt that template to suit your needs, so it has your data and the right data sets that you need and so on. So yeah, just reach out to us and we'll help you get started.
Thank you, Graham. The next question I see piped in is, what if I want to create multiple EPDs for different product categories?
Yeah, maybe I'll continue as I have the mic open. So multiple product categories. So yes, that's absolutely possible. There's a couple of things to probably keep in mind. One is that you would require to have expert level license for multiple different product categories, but also have an expert license has lots of useful features that will help you sort of efficiently create your EPDs too. And the other consideration is to have access to more eco-event data sets. So that's the generic database that Arthur's mentioned. If you're working in very different product categories, then you're going to need access to different types of material data sets, process data sets, and so on. So having sort of an eco-event extension to have more data sets or full eco-event access would be recommended in that case. And yeah, again, back to the product templates. Hopefully we have one for each of the categories that you deal with, and that will of course make it easier for you to address the need for EPDs for your portfolio.
Thank you, Graham. We only have time for one question, and the next question I see, the final one, is EPD Hub an Eco Platform member? Because you mentioned EPD Hub as a program operator before.
Yeah, so we work quite closely with EPD Hub to ensure the basically smooth verification process, submission process, and quick publishing. So EPD Hub has been accepted as the emerging program operator with Eco Platform. And this basically means that we are on the way to becoming a full established program operator, which should be expected to happen somewhere during this year.
Thank you, Arthur. That was it, everyone. We're going to wrap up now because we don't have a lot of time and we don't want to keep you. Again, if you want to contact us, you can scan this code and you can book a tailored demo for you, or you can email us here at sales@oneclicklca.com. Thank you for joining, and we'll see you in the next session. Bye.